Spider-Man is back, and this time he's got an ally in the hopes that they can be greater together. Hey everyone, Lucamus Prime here. So it is time for a video game review today, and this time guys, it's going to be for a video game sequel, one that of course dropped in 2023, and is a sequel to a video game I've already reviewed on this channel, and it's of course an action-adventure superhero game, which is developed by Insomniac Games. And this game, as you probably have guessed by the title and the thumbnail, is of course none other than 2023's Marvel's Spider-Man 2. So, now when it comes, of course, to how this video game was made, so of course, discussions on a sequel to the first game, Marvel's Spider-Man, began during that game's development, with open story threads for future titles being teased across both it and its spin-off, Spider-Man Miles Morales. The game was announced in September 2021, and when it comes to who returned from the first game, the creative director Brian Interhart, game director Ryan Smith, narrative lead John Paquette, and art director Jacinda Chu from Insomniac Games returned to their duties. And when it comes to the main cast as well, Yuri Lowenthal, Nadji Jeter, and Laura Bailey returned as their characters as well, with others also returning as well, alongside new ones. Most notably, for example, Jim Pirri as Kraven the Hunter, and also Tony Todd as Venom. So there was lots of anticipation for this game prior to its release, and it then, of course, was released as a PlayStation 5 exclusive on October 20th, 2023, to critical acclaim. The game sold over 2.5 million units in its first 24 hours and over 5 million units in 10 days, and it became PlayStation's fastest-selling first-party title and among the best-selling PS5 games of all time. When it comes to my reaction to this game then, So for Christmas, I of course got a PS5, and the first game that I got when it comes to getting games for it was Spider-Man 2. I bought it digitally because I couldn't wait any longer to get it, because I've been anticipating it a lot. And I avoided lots of spoilers for the game as well prior to its release as well. I didn't even see much gameplay clips, either just of course the trailers for it really. I didn't really see much reviews or anything like that. I went in blind really. So I went into playing the game, and upon as well finishing it last night, and I also got the platinum for it as well last night as well, I of course have my thoughts on it. So, as you guys know, I absolutely of course love the first game. I think it's an amazing superhero game. In my opinion, the best PS4 game of all time. My first superhero game. When it comes to this game, now what I will say is, do I think it's a good game? Yes, I do think it's a very good game. But do I think it's better than the first game? Well, not in my opinion, no. I personally think this game is slightly weaker in my opinion than the first game for some reasons, but it's still in my opinion a very good game, and it definitely does deserve the acclaim that it got in my opinion, because there are things about it that I do like, of course, which I think do deserve praise. So what is the game about? So in this installment, of course, the player gets to play as two characters, of course, which is Peter Parker's Spider-Man, alongside Miles Morales, who returns from of course, the spin-off Miles Morales, which this game continues on from. They struggle to navigate the next steps in their personal lives while combating several new threats, including a private militia led by Kraven the Hunter, who transforms New York City into a hunting ground for superpowered individuals, and the extraterrestrial Venom symbiote, which bonds itself to Parker and negatively influences him, threatening to destroy his personal relationships. So, when it comes to what I think is good about a game then, I think like the first game, it has a really great voice cast of actors. So Yuri Lowenthal, of course, reprises his role from the first game as Spider-Man, and that always will be my favourite role of his. I think he once again did a really great job playing Spider-Man in this, and did a really great job as always. Definitely my favourite role of his to this day. And I like how in this as well, he also gave Peter Parker a new personality, of course, when he bonds with symbiote, where he, of course, becomes really savage. I definitely think he nailed it, in my opinion, with all of the anger and the rage. And there's even parts of the game where he's emotional as well. I'm not going to spoil why, but he does have some emotional parts, once again, like the first game. So, Yuri Lowenthal was once again amazing as Spider-Man, as always, in this game. And definitely did a really great job. And also, as well, I definitely as well once again love the return of Nadji Jeter as Miles Morales. Nadji definitely did a very good job playing Miles once again, made him instill a likeable sidekick to Peter in this game. Did a really great job once again. And Laura Bailey was also great as well as Mary Jane Watson as well, Peter Parker's girlfriend, and definitely did a really great job once again in that role. Definitely, in my opinion, one of her best roles. She's a great voice actress. And when it comes as well to returning sidekicks from Miles Morales, his classmate, of course, Genki, Lee returns, played once again by Griffin Poitou, who comes back. And he was definitely once again fun to listen to because he, of course, helps the player in many levels, which is definitely lots of fun. And also, as well, Miles' mother, Rio, comes back as well, played once again by Jacqueline Pignol as well. And also, as well, other characters also return from Miles Morales, such as Prowler, for example, played once again by Ike Amadi, who now, of course, has abandoned identity in this game and is now going by just Aaron Davis. And there's, of course, a side quest where you got to go to his stashes to of course, get his gear, and you unlock a special suit because of it. Also turning from the first game in a big role in this is also Harry Osborn, but he's been recasted this time with Graham Phillips playing him instead of Scott Porter. And apparently the reason why Scott Porter didn't come back is because of the age gap between him and the character. But the thing is that Yuri, who plays Spider-Man's in his 50s, and he's playing a character who's in his late 20s, so I personally don't understand whether to recast the character, to be honest, of Harry, really. But I think Graham Phillips did a great job what he was given, in my opinion. But I do miss Scott Porter. Also, so returning as well is Yuri Watanabe, who now goes by the vigilante identity of Wraith. I thought she was good as her once again. And she, of course, is Yuri Lenfor's wife in real life, which is pretty cool that she's in this with her husband. And also, so returning as well when it comes to podcast is also J. Jonah Jameson. You can hear him once again in the game, and he's definitely once again pretty funny and entertaining, voiced again by Darren DePaul. And he even as well appears physically in the game too. On a mission we got to save him as well. And he, of course, also appears when he's talking to MJ because he's a boss in this. And you also get to hear as well the podcast host Danica Hart as well, voiced by Ashley Birch. And the game also as well introduces as well Martha's love interest Haley, who is played by Natasha Ophelia as well. And we even as well get an appearance by Peter Parker, Aunt May as well, who appears in a flashback, played once again by Nana Selinari. Definitely as well perfect casting as Aunt May. When it comes to the villains, of course, this game, of course, has two main villains. The first one you will, of course, encounter is Kraven the Hunter when it comes to the very main villains. And I definitely really like Kraven in this, who is played, of course, by Jim Perry. Jim Perry, in my opinion, is a good actor, and I think he did a very good job playing Kraven in this. And I also definitely really love the casting as well of the legendary Tony Todd as Venom, because he, of course, as well plays the Venom voice and does mocap as well for the character as well. And wow, Tony Todd absolutely nailed it. In my opinion, he was a perfect casting as Venom, and I think his voice would make absolutely perfect sense to be cast as Venom because of how deep it is. And what's amazing is, his voice is so deep in real life, you probably don't even need to add effects to make it deep because he's that good at doing such a deep voice in real life. But Tony Todd, in my opinion, is awesome. And in this game, he was definitely, to me, the best part of it, in my opinion. Absolutely. I think he really nailed it, in my opinion, as Venom. And he was actually pretty terrifying as well, I must say, too. And he gave me chills as well, especially when he says, "We are Venom," in the game, too. Like, wow. I'm not going to spoil what happens with Venom in the game, but wow. Tony Todd absolutely nailed it, in my opinion. There's even as well a mission involving Venom, which I also absolutely loved as well, of course, too, where Venom first appears. And when you play the game and you first encounter Venom, you know why I love that level very much, because it's very unique. And also as well, returning from the first game, is also as well other villains too, such as, for example, Mr. Negative, played once again by Stephen Oyong. And personally, I didn't really like how he didn't have much screen time in this game, but I still think that Stephen Oyong did a great job playing Mr. Negative once again. And I did like his story arc in this game, but I do wish he had more screen time, though. Also, returning as well is Matt Gargan's Scorpion, played once again by Jason Spizak. While I did like his return, I also feel that he was also, in my opinion, pretty underused. I'm not going to say why, because there is a bad quality job with Scorpion, though. So spoilers if you guys have not played the game. But I hate how he was wasted in this game, which is disappointing. We also got an appearance as well from Tombstone, played once again by Corey Jones, where he's also redeeming himself, where he's working at the theme park, which was definitely nice to see. We even as well got a small appearance from Black Cat as well, which was nice to see as well. L2, but I do wish she also appeared more as well, because she only had like about one mission, didn't she, really? And also as well, when it comes to new villains too, this game also introduces a villain, of course, which is Sandman, who appears at the start. he's actually the first boss you'll fight in the game. He was definitely, in my opinion, pretty fun to fight in this as a first boss. And I think as well that Leandro Cano did a very good job playing him. And after you do that first boss, there's also a side mission where you got to find his crystals across the map as like a very fun side mission. I definitely really enjoy that side mission. And also though featuring as well is Kurt Connors' Lizard as well, appearing to be played by Mark Whitton. I like the addition of Lizard in this. And also though Chameleon, who is Kieran's half brother, and in that case he's played also by Jim Perry because he's Kieran's half brother. And we as well get to see as well Mysterio, which is also nice to see as well, played by Noshir Dalal in this as well. Definitely nice surprise to see Mysterio in this. And there's also a side quest we got to do his Mysterium attractions, which definitely, in my opinion, pretty interesting and fun in my opinion too. So when it comes as well to a game, aside from a great cast of actors, when it comes to a gameplay, the gameplay in my opinion is, it's good in my opinion really. Much of it, of course, is taken from the first game and from Miles Morales a little bit really. But it's still, in my opinion, pretty fun because you of course, get a web swing. And this game, of course, as well adds more traversal because the map is much bigger because it adds new islands of New York, such as, for example, Queens and Brooklyn. So I like how they added those islands to the game, of course, when it comes to New York's map. And it was definitely nice to have them in it. It made it feel a lot bigger. So they added, of course, the addition of web wings. So I like that addition, how they made it easier to travel around faster. Then again, you can also fast travel when you've done the side quest as well, if you want to as well. So it's easy when you've done all that. And also as well, when it comes to the graphics as well, the graphics, in my opinion, are also once again really good too as well. Pretty stunning, in my opinion, too. I think we did a very good job of graphics once again, and to be honest, and I think we did a really great job doing it for a PS5 exclusive too, in my opinion. And when it comes as well to the music, I also definitely love the score, once again composed by John Pisano. And I like how he brought back lots of the themes from the first game and from the Miles Morales game and put them together into this. So if you guys have heard his main theme, which of course was released months before the game came out, he of course was able to blend both Peter Parker and Miles Morales' themes together. And I think he did a really good job of it because it felt very cinematic, in my opinion, really. How you've introduced these two characters in separate games and now you put them together into this game together. So I think he was very creative with his soundtrack in this, very creative. And John Pisano, in my opinion, is a great composer. And also, so when it comes as well to a combat, the combat, in my opinion, is also pretty good too, once again. Mainly because I definitely love the addition of the symbiote attacks. In my opinion, they were probably the best part of the combat in this game, in my opinion. I definitely really love the addition of it. And it was definitely lots of fun to use the abilities. My favourite was probably L1 and then X, where of course you grab your enemies and then you fling them to the ground. That's probably my favourite one because that was pretty cool in my opinion. And the good news as well is that predictably, of course, you will of course have to reject the symbiote because that of course leads to the creation of Venom. But the good news is you of course get the anti-Venom suits towards the end of the game really. So that of course is to be predicted, of course, if you're familiar with Spider-Man. So thankfully you get to keep the symbiote powers, of course, even though you of course reject Venom symbiote. So, and also when it comes to the story, I think the story is also okay for the most part, in my opinion. That's what I'll say really, because it does a very good job continuing on from the last two games really. But I will say though that in my opinion Venom was the best part of this game, no doubt about that really, because I think he was just so much fun to see in this and definitely nailed in my opinion. Mainly thanks to Tony Todd's amazing performance in this. Although I will say that I do miss the inclusion of Eddie Brock though as a symbiote host though. So I do feel there's a missed opportunity there. And speaking of symbiote host as well, we as well of course get a side quest involving of course a criminal called Flame, who is actually Cletus Cassidy. So he of course appears in this, played of course by Chad Dorek, and I'm hoping maybe in the next game he can become Carnage, but yeah, we'll have to wait and see really. But when it comes as well to a story as well, there is some things about it that I unfortunately didn't really like, but I'll get to my bad qualities though. But we did, however, get a pretty nice mid-credit scene where we get to see Norman Osborn visit Dr. Octavius in a mid-credit scene in a raft. So I definitely did like that, and William Sailors, of course, came back as Doc Ock, and Mark Rolston was definitely, in my opinion, a great casting of Norman Osborn coming back for this game, and definitely did a really good job playing Norman in this. So I've got a feeling in the next game he might be a Green Goblin, who knows. And in terms as well of other small appearances, the game also has a cameo appearance as well from Jefferson, who is Miles' father, who appears in a dream sequence. It was nice to see him acknowledged in this. And the game at the end also as well introduces, of course, the character Albert Moon, and of course in the introductions of his daughter Cindy, who I of course know from the comics as becoming Silk. So that of course was clearly setting up the next game. When it comes to bad qualities though, so here are reasons why I personally prefer the first game. So when it comes to the gameplay combat, while doing the symbiote part was the best part of the combat, I personally wasn't really a fan of how they changed where the gadgets work in this, where you can't like select all the different kinds of like web related gadgets, of course, like in the first game. And of course how you permanently have the Spider-Man arms on the back of Peter's Spider-Man now for some reason. So I didn't really understand why they had to change the combat really in this. And when it comes to a story, I also feel that this game focused way too much on Miles compared to Peter, in my opinion. That I personally didn't really like, because what I will say is I do like Miles as a character, but Spider-Man's Peter Parker is the reason why he's my favourite superhero of all time. That's what I'll say really. So I didn't like how this game didn't really focus much on Peter Parker. That's why when I did a side quest, I made sure to play as Peter, mostly because he's my favourite Spider-Man. He's the reason why he's my favourite superhero of all time. And when it comes to those other events in the story and the side quests, I also didn't like how this game also appeared to overemphasise the idea of playing as other characters who are not Spider-Man or Miles. So I don't understand why they had to go in that direction, really. In my opinion, that wasn't a good move. Because when I'm playing this game, I'm expecting to play as Spider-Man and Miles, not some random characters with no powers. So I feel this game overemphasised that feature. The first game, in my opinion, did it a lot better because it didn't have much of it. It focused on Spider-Man, whereas this one, in my opinion, did not. So that, in my opinion, wasn't good. And I also didn't like how several of the villains, in my opinion, were wasted. I've already mentioned Scorpion being wasted, and Black Cat's only in like one mission, unfortunately. And also, as well, Tombstone is only seen in the theme park area, really, and of course getting rescued as well by Peter Parker and Agent Venom Harry. I will say that Agent Venom was cool, or really, for what it was worth. But I didn't like how several villains, in my opinion, were wasted. I also wish Mr. Negative had more screen time as well, because I really liked him in the first game. I was hoping he'd have a big role once again, but sadly he didn't really appear much. And I will also say that I personally was not really a fan of the ending either, because at the end of the game, of course, as well, if you played it, Peter will say that he's taking a break from being Spider-Man, and that made me pretty annoyed, really, to be honest. Like, come on, there's no way Spider-Man would do that. No. Like, as he completely forgot what Uncle Ben said. Like, come on. And, like, Aunt May, of course, with her dying breath, encouraged him to keep fighting as well as Spider-Man and make her proud. But yeah, he's now taking a break, so that, of course, was unfortunately probably set up for the next game, because apparently Insomniac have now confirmed that Miles will be the main character going forward. So that, in my opinion, is a very bad move, because I personally think that Spider-Man wouldn't be as iconic as he is without Peter Parker. Definitely not. So I'm very appalled by that decision, really, and if it's true that Peter Parker will not be the main character in this next game, I'm probably not going to play it, to be honest, because I think it's a bad move how they're making Miles Morales the main character and not Peter Parker. Like, come on. Yeah, that, in my opinion, was a pretty big mistake, to be honest. So I'm very cautious about this third game, which is rumored to be in development now, really. So, I mean, hopefully it'll be good too. And also, when it comes to side missions in this, I've already mentioned that some of them will be played as a character who's neither Peter Parker or Miles, but there's also one thing, in my opinion, is very confusing, where you, of course, have to get those Spider-Bot collectibles, and then, of course, you see, of course, a portal to see a bar with a character called Delilah there. That, in my opinion, was very confusing. And I will say that, in my opinion, her CGI was pretty bad too. I don't know why that was. Maybe it wasn't completed, or maybe it was intentional. I have no idea. But either way, it didn't look good, in my opinion. Like, if that's supposed to be from Across the Spider-Verse's deleted scenes, it wasn't a good scene, in my opinion, because of that bad visual effect for the character of Delilah. So, yeah, that I personally wasn't a fan of. And when it comes to suits in this, while I appreciate them adding lots of new suits, such as, for example, both the suits of Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man, like, thank goodness for that, and also as well the black suit from Spider-Man 3, and also the other suits from No Way Home as well, including, of course, the Final Swing suit, which is my favourite Tom Holland suit of all time. I didn't like how several suits were removed from the first game's suit roster. That, in my opinion, wasn't a good move, Because what I'd have done is I'd have included all the suits from the first game and added the new ones. So I'd have not got rid of any of the old ones. I'd have kept the old ones which were loved by fans. That's what I've done, really. I wouldn't have changed them at all. Just added new ones, really. That's all I'd do. But when it comes to this game, though, I still think it's a good game in my opinion. But in my opinion, slightly weaker than the first game. So if I was to give it a score out of 10, I'd probably give it a very decent score of 8 out of 10. That's what I'd give it. So in my opinion, weaker than the first game, but still in my opinion a good game, which I still enjoy playing. It's also an easy platinum too as well. Also, it was fun to platinum it as well. But in my opinion, weaker than the first game. And that being said, guys, this is me, of course, doing my review for 2023's video game Marvel Spider-Man 2. So, you know the drill, guys. Be sure to give this video a like. Also, be sure to leave in the comments what you guys think of Spider-Man 2. If you played it on console, what you think of it. Also, be sure to join the team by pressing subscribe. Those come in the future. And with great power comes great responsibility.